For a while, the number one issue in this country among voters was immigration. Immigration still is a top issue. It's currently number two. Why? Well, we're seeing a lot of crime. And it's not all immigration. It's illegal immigrants who are illegally entering the country. Surprisingly, they don't have a lot of, they don't care much for our laws. So in a lot of cities, we've seen many stories popping up in the press of, well, you had Laken Riley lost her life after a man was attempting to force himself on her. And I guess she fought back. The media actually, man, it seems like, because I want to be careful here, they're almost critical of the victims. And that's what we're seeing now with MSNBC. Once again, MSNBC panel erupts after Heritage president blasts crime committed by illegal migrants. We don't use that term. Listen, you come to the United States legally. I have respect for this. You know, Donald Trump got a lot of flack when he said he wanted to give green cards to college graduates. Trump is correct. Everybody immediately assumes the worst possible thing. And this is the problem with that narrative. Trump says, we want to give green cards to college grads. It doesn't make sense that they come here, go to our schools, we kick them out, and they become billionaires in their countries. Trump is correct. You see, most people immediately assumed the worst. Some communists showing up from Honduras, getting a scholarship, and then getting a green card. Well, that's if that's how you want to interpret it. The real answer is, point made by Trump, simple proposition, what are the parameters? Well, I say I agree. If the parameters are reforming the college system first and foremost, getting rid of the predatory loan system, getting rid of all the Marxist garbage, then vetting process, how many green cards are we actually allotting every year to college grads? It should be between 100 and 1,000 maybe, because what we want, industrialist billionaire opportunity. We want to brain drain other countries. Why? So that we are number one around the world, and then we can maintain that beautiful, beautiful status as the top economy on the planet without using guns and bombs. Quite simple, right? But it is complicated, and there's no guarantee it could be pulled off very easily. So that idea I have no problem with, but the media, you look at this story, and I got to get dark with it because this is the reality. The story here, you're asking what is it about? A post-millennial. This is tough to read. We don't use the term illegal. MSNBC pundit interrupts panel on 12-year-old girl brutally murdered by illegal migrants to correct language. They're undocumented individuals. Seriously? Here you go.
What do you tell the parents of those people, those young girls who were killed? This is absurdity. The preponderance of these people, Michael, are male.
But what is the difference between an illegal immigrant who unfortunately engages in that activity?
And we don't like that. I want to be clear. We don't use the term illegal. So undocumented individuals.
They're illegal aliens.
Undocumented individuals versus anyone else who commits the same crime. Well, I mean, it's so.
I can answer this one. It's really, really easy. All right, here we go. What's the difference between an illegal alien who committed a crime and anyone else who committed the crime? We are trying to prevent crime. Thank you. Have a nice day. So I'll put it this way. If you come to me and say, what's the difference between someone who robs a bank and then murders the bank teller versus somebody who just commits a murder? It's like, well, if we have good security on the bank, and we prevent the people from entering with the weapons in the first place, you reduce the probability that people will be killed in a botched bank robbery. Next question. If someone is willing to break our laws to enter this country, we prevent that, okay? And we say port of entry. It is a really simple algorithm. It's just absolutely remarkable. If you create a path, it's almost like when you ban guns, only outlaws have guns. I don't know that Democrats are capable of this multi-level ordered thinking. What happens beyond the first? But I'll keep it simple for you. If you, leave your door open, bugs will get in. Then you will have to use bug spray, right? I like that. That's it. Or you close your door and then there's no bugs and you don't use bug spray. And they say, but what's the difference between the fly that got in your room when the door was open and the fly that didn't? Well, the fly that somehow manages to get in is still a problem. We have to deal with that, and it is bad. But it is the simple process by which we prevent them from getting in the first place. Okay. You know what? I really love this because this is pure Democrat thought process, right? They say, we tell young women not to walk down dark alleys late at night or be careful about using the ATM late at night. No, we should tell men not to rape. We already do that. We punish it. We have a TV show on, NBC? It's been on for like 40 years. I'm exaggerating. Specifically about how bad it is to rape. Law and Order SVU, by the way, for those that didn't get that one. And yet there are still bad guys who do it. So, well, of course we recognize it's the murderers who are the problem. We are trying to keep out people who are willing to commit the crime in the first place. And the people who are trying to enter the country legally are substantially less likely to murder a 12-year-old than those who would enter the country illegally. Now, when these people are coming to the United States, and they're coming from Venezuela, many of them from El Salvador, especially with the amazing transformation under President Bukele. He's done an amazing job. But of course, these criminals are terrified, so they flee. Well, these criminals aren't going to go to the U.S. border, knock on the door and say, please let me in legally. I'll fill out my forms and wait a few years. They're going to come in illegally. And so many of the people that we see, and not all, I don't even know if it's a majority, who are crossing illegally are criminals. Now, I will say this. Hold on. I'm saying criminals before they cross. Anyone who crosses that border commits a crime. That's a fact. It is illegal to do this in the United States. Anyone who is willing to commit a crime, there's going to be a higher preponderance. There's going to be a higher probability that those people will commit crimes later on. I'm not saying all of them will be murders. It could very well just be trespassing. But the people who are willing to abide by the law are clearly by the algorithm created. The New York Post, MSNBC host chaffed at how to refer to migrants who enter the country illegally and commit crimes during a testy exchange. The Liberal Network's hosts were eager to grill Roberts about Heritage's Project 2025, an initiative intended to outline an agenda for former President Trump should he win this second term. It has become something of a boogeyman among progressives. I'm specifically interested as it relates, Dr. Roberts, to the deportation of immigrants in this country, just understanding sort of how it is going to work. MSNBC anchor Alicia Menendez, the daughter of Bob Menendez, began. Well, the one thing I will add, too, is the president of the Heritage Foundation says they're illegal aliens. That is a legal term, and it is a fact statement. You could be like, we don't use the term illegal here. It's in the law books. It's just the term. Shut up. They're doing this because they're trying to lie, cheat, and steal. When you talk about folks on the interior, how you see a future administration utilizing the National Guard, ICE, police forces to deport something like 11 million people. Roberts said the first objective is to close the border, followed by the biggest mass deportation system ever in the history of America. Here's what I absolutely love. So there's that show Evil on CBS and Paramount Plus. I've mentioned it on Timcast IRL because they have this scene where the mom, it's like, for those that don't know the show, three people, there's a priest, a woman, and a tech guy, and they're investigating possession and other weird, demonic things. They work for the church. They work for the Catholic Church. It's a very woke show, and it's kind of hilarious. And despite the fact that it's being very Catholic. So anyway, the mom has 4 daughters, and she's like, I'm going to make a list of commandments for my daughters, the 10 mom commandments. And the first one is, thou shalt not lie to mom. And she's like, don't lie to me. And then the one girl is like, can we lie to other people? And she goes, no. And then the one of the girls goes, what if we're hiding Jews in the basement like with Hitler, or immigrants with like Trump? And the mom's like, okay, those are great points, but we'll talk about that later. And it's like, hiding immigrants in your basement like Trump? Jeez, these people are nuts. But you know it. You know that's what they're going to do. Let me break this down, because that's the narrative they're trying to build. But I can tell you the difference. First, I will say this. Donald Trump better be very, very careful. It is already thin ice for moderate types like me when dealing with something like mass deportations. It's going to be difficult. There may be shootouts, seriously, from criminal gang members and cartels and things like that. I need to know. That's why I asked Trump this personally. When it comes to this operation, it is going to be done as humanely and through the appropriate legal processes properly as possible. And there will be no mistreatment Now, I say mistreatment, assuming someone's a criminal with a gun who's like a cartel member. Well, that's a wider berth than, say, it's some woman who came here 15 years ago. She's here illegally and she got her kids. This person should be gently placed in the back of a police car and driven to a deportation center, or however they handle it. And then, we send them back to their homes. And it should be comfortable. It should. And it's a challenge, too, because you've had people say on Timcast IRL, maybe we should just pay them $1,000 to leave. And I'm like, why? They'll come back and then they'll keep doing it. It's a perverse incentive. You don't want to do that. But I tell you this, the difference, my friends. For the people who are trying to come here illegally in violation of our laws, this is the big meme. AOC called detention centers set up by Barack Obama concentration camps. Someone made a comic where a bunch of Jews were rushing to get into like one of these concentration camps. And it's like, and then the Nazi guard was like, hey, you get out of here. Don't come in here. The difference is Germany was a country with citizens who lived there, who owned businesses. Hitler comes to power and blames a religious ethnic minority for their problems. And then they go around smashing things, loading them up into train cars and things like this to send them to work camps and death camps, killing them. What we have now in the United States is people breaking our laws to enter the country and us saying, please go home and don't break our laws. Very different. But that's why I say it is thin ice. It's a difficult position. And there will be very little tolerance for failure in this regard. That is to say, the first thing that's going to happen when Trump gets elected, assuming he does, and he begins this mass deportation project, Project 2025, the left will use every opportunity to try and make it look like, try and associate it with Hitler and the Nazis and things like that. That means Trump's already on thin ice. This has to be done so properly and perfectly that, well, people are going to be sad. The videos show people comfortably being brought back to where their homes are. And then they can apply legally. And that being said, I do believe Joe Biden's going to try and do mass amnesty before that happens, so don't be surprised. But take a look at this. This is the nature of politics, where things are going. Politico says immigration fears are pushing centrists to the right in the U.S. and Europe. As elections loom in the U.S. and UK and France, the fraught politics of migration are a key issue animating voters on both sides of the Atlantic. Well, yeah. Look, man, we have a 12-year-old murdered. There was a woman who went out for a run, and an illegal immigrant criminal who was a known criminal with a criminal past tried to rape her. That's the presumption from the media reports. He tried to drag her off to rape her, and she fought back. So he smashed her head, killing her. No one wants that. And it is not an excuse to say, what's the difference between this murder and any other murder? You get to jail, right? And you put all the murderers in it. You start letting them out into one area. Don't be surprised if murder goes up. And the issue with illegal immigration is it on the surface, yeah, it doesn't matter. A murderer is a murderer. They're all bad. Lock them up. But hold on. Hold on there a minute. If somebody who lives in my house and has lived there for a long time, and we know them, decides to, steal my cookie jar in the middle of the night, I'd be shocked. I'd say, I can't believe it. Jim stole my cookies. Jim, how long have you lived here? Wow. I don't know how this could have happened. Thought Jim was a good guy. Now here's the alternate scenario. I leave the door open in the middle of the night. A guy I don't know comes in, steals my cookie jar, and I go, oh, whew. Some guy I don't even know stole my... How could this have happened? What, you left your door open. Opportunist criminals are going to come in. How are we in this scenario? So this, of course, is leading people to be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say, no. I'm going to go ahead and say, we don't want that. And now the right is winning across the board. This could be the issue that actually drives Donald Trump to victory, that pushes Joe Biden out. You take a look at this from Gallup, something I like to reference quite a bit. Non-economic problems. 75% of people cite this. Okay. When you have, and this is as of May 24th. Now the numbers don't add up evenly. I don't know how they're at doing this math. Economic problems, 36%, right? The economy in general as a single issue is 17%. When you ask people, 17% say it's the most important problem. Government and poor leadership, number one. It was immigration before that at 27%. And then 28 before that. We're going back to February. Immigration has dominated. Well, thanks to Joe Biden's, let's just call it incapabilities, immigration's taken a back seat. People are more concerned about Joe Biden's brain failing at this point. But it doesn't mean they don't care about immigration. Just because the number's gone down doesn't mean that people don't care about it. They care about it as much as they always did. But now they're really worried about Joe Biden's brain being broken. This is where we're at. Immigration is the second issue as of right now. And it was the top issue for 4 months. Before that, it was tied. Before that, this is amazing. Even going back to November, immigration was still number 2, with Joe Biden's brain being broken at number 1. Immigration briefly took number 1. This is a problem for Democrats they're not going to win on. And going on MSNBC and say, we don't say illegal, doesn't mean anything. You're saying nothing. Well, here we are. Now, Trump, of course, has rightly pissed people off. Rightly. Maybe the wrong people. Take a look at this. I love this. From the New Republic, lefty publication. Trump's surprising promise to immigrants quickly retracted by campaign. No, it wasn't. You're lying, but sure. Donald Trump made a shocking pledge to help international students, only for his campaign to immediately add some caveats. That was always the case. Here, what are the caveats, okay? Because they don't really mention it. But the New York Times says that Trump offered green cards to college grads. But hours after Mr. Trump's remarks aired, his campaign press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, walked back the former president's comments, saying in a statement that there would be an aggressive vetting process, exclude all communists, radical Islamists, Hamas supporters, America haters, and public charges, and that the policy would apply only to the most skilled graduates who can make significant contributions to America. And that was always the case. Nowhere did Donald Trump say, I want to give green cards to every single one, all of them. He didn't do that. Okay. All of these Trump supporters, like shout out, even Laura Loomer, who is Trump's, there's no one who supports Trump more than Loomer. And even she was like, Trump, this is not a good policy. I respect it. That Laura Loomer has criticized people for criticizing Trump, saying now's not the time. Trump needs to win. Trump says this, and she goes, wait a minute. Bad policy. Now, I respect that the immediate backlash happened because people were like, if you don't specify, we assume the worst. Me, I never assumed build the wall Trump was like, I'm going to give all of these people green cards. I think this. We have war. I don't like it. It's bad. We need alternatives to war. How can we maintain our status as the dominant global economy? We have an advantage. Power attracts power. The more money you have, the more money you invest, the more money you make. Everybody gets it. Well, right now, we're on top. And we may be about to lose it. But here's the advantage. Everybody wants to be here. So how do we take advantage of that? The smartest people in the world, in their various countries, they want to come here too. So what do? We should be offering tax incentives to foreign millionaires and billionaires. I mean, imagine you're a Chinese millionaire. And like, what's that guy? I can't remember that guy's name who disappeared or whatever. We say, I tell you what, you come here and we will give you 10 years at a lower tax rate to bring your money and invest in America. That'd be great. Colleges. We tell this young guy, let's say he's from China. We got to be careful because Chinese Communist Party. I get it. But there are good people who want to get out of China because of this. Let's say they're from South Korea, ally of ours. We got military bases and troops over there. They're smart. They're hardworking. They're inventing things. You can tell. They score really high on tests. First thing, these colleges got to be totally reformed. Nothing else matters before that. Got to fix the schools, got to fix the loan system. But let's say we weed out the garbage, we seize the endowments, whatever it may be. Let's say it's only specific fields, okay? So we got this dude from India, high IQ, super smart guy, and he's like, I want to study, mechanical engineering or computer sciences. So we say, okay, he comes, he pays. Let's say in the course of his 4 years in college, this dude has shown himself to be exemplary. He's working on a startup already with some buddies. This is where we go, okay, this dude, if he goes back to India and he takes all of this knowledge and these resources there. He will build up their economy. Then we have to compete with them. So long as we vet these people for Islamists, Hamas supporters, and all the stuff they've pointed out, reforming the colleges, we want to brain drain other countries. If everybody wants to be here and we bring in, let's say the number is 10,000. 10,000 per year, that's it, of the highest skilled, cream of the crop people. They start their companies here. Everyone else in the world is begging us for access. We don't need bombs. We don't need missiles. They will simply need to buy from us because we got it. That, in my opinion, is the dream. Because right now, the Democrat vision is blow them up and steal their oil, and that'll maintain our economy. That won't work. Trump knows it. Trump's plan here is we've got to drain the brains of these nations, take their most valuable assets, build the technology in America, and then everyone will beg us forever. I love it. I want America to be on top. I don't think the Democrat uniparty platform, the liberal economic order of military bases everywhere is going to sustain that. No, we do it through trade, good deals. We bring in some guy, he goes to school, he invents a new product, and he keeps it here. And then what happens? We control it. That dude becomes a wealthy American. He employs Americans. That's the plan. And then in India, they say, we would like to buy some of this invention from you, America. And we say, what do you have to offer? That makes our economy stronger. It means the American people will live better. And you need only one thing to represent the shining city on the hill. You need only be the place to be and nothing else. I think it's a good idea. But it's got to be done right. Not going to be easy. In the meantime, you can sit back as people are freaking out over this crime and thank MSNBC for making the problem worse and for helping Trump get elected. We'll see if he does. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all then.